Welcome, everybody. Glad you're here today. I'm happy to be here today. All right, grace, peace, and blessings to the saints. Hope you guys are all doing well. All right, all praise, honor, and glory belongs to our Father Yahawah in the name of his beloved Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi. All right, we pray and we give thanks in the name of the Holy Spirit through the power given to us of the Holy Spirit. We give thanks for the comforter and everything that comes along with being, among the beloved of Yahawah, Yahawashi. All right, so what brings us here today? All right. Obviously another lesson, right? But what's the incentive? What is the motivation for this? Well, I was speaking to a sister, right? Again, Shalom, sis, you know what I'm saying? Don't, this might sting, but I need you to sit through it, all you sisters, because I have to address this because if there is a mindset in one, the same mindset exists in many. And I know this mindset exists in many because I address this mindset, in multiple videos, and because this sister who I was having a conversation with, she exhibited the very things that I speak against while also telling me, how fervently she follows the channel and watches the videos, which I'm happy for her to be edified by these. There's some edification that she's missing. And again, the problem is because people have a tendency to turn their ears off when things are being spoken of that they don't like to hear, that they don't want to hear. And this can be to our detriment as a people. This can destroy us. Not understanding as a Gentile how salvation happens for you, meaning it happens by you loving Israel and being a blessing to Israel, it'll cause you to not do the things that you should do in order to receive any mercies, any mercy or blessings or any form of salvation. All right. And so I'm not going to get into the whole, the Gentiles get salvation thing conversation because yes, they do, but they don't get it the way Israel gets it, right? If Gentiles receive no salvation, how would they make it into the kingdom? Who would build up our kingdom? Who would build up our walls? Who would, plant our vineyards and so forth? Where are the handmaids and servants going to come from that were promised if they don't make it? Okay, now that's all right. Now, the same way, many Gentiles don't like to hear these things, which are truths of the scriptures. Many Israelite women hate to hear the truth of the scriptures as well. All right. It's not a difference because they're fighting the same devil, the same serpent, the same deceiver that has deceived the Gentiles, that has deceived the Christians. Israelite women are fighting the same deceiver. All right. And nothing new under the sun. This has long been happening. And so you get a lot of our women who are plagued by the feminist demon. And some will even believe that they're not, even this sister, right? She even made the comment when she was saying everything that she was saying that, this isn't modern feminism, but it actually was. She was trying to say that what she was saying and her mindset was not exactly what it was, which means she understood what it was, right? She even came back and made a comment and says, well, I don't have any disdain for the brothers because she understood what she was saying, how it sounds, and how it comes across. She knows exactly what she was saying, and she knows exactly what's in her heart. But she tried to talk it away. She tried to speak it away and act as if by saying, hey, it ain't what it sounds like, that it would cease to be exactly what it sounds like. But sis, no, it is what it is. And you have to confront this. You have to look into the mirror and see yourself. Stop trying to run from yourself. Stop trying to hide from yourself. You got to look at yourself and acknowledge the truth. All right. And so today's lesson is going to be a hard pill to swallow for some. But if you're really seeking the kingdom, then you'll love correction, as the scriptures say, right? And so this message is for our sisters, especially those who say they love Yahawah and Yahawashi, but still carry the spirit of this world. They still think like the enemy, and they still walk in that feminist mindset that has been planted in them from birth. Yes, you have been indoctrinated, you have been programmed by this world. All right. And so you're carrying, that demon with you into the truth. You're carrying that spirit with you into this journey, and it's going to separate you from the highest. You're hoping to draw close to him, to draw near to him, but this spirit that you carry is going to push you away from him, and you don't even realize it. And I can tell from everything that she said, because she said a whole lot. I can tell that she doesn't quite really know the Father. She doesn't quite know Yahawashi. She has a zeal for him. She loves him, but she doesn't know him. She doesn't understand him. And again, Christians have the same problem. They have a zeal for the Most High, but it's not according to knowledge. They have a zeal for the Bible, but it's not according to knowledge, right? They have a lot of beliefs about the scriptures that don't hold true. A lot of our sisters have beliefs that don't hold true. They have a lot, they have a lot of things that they hope are true, a lot of things that they want to be true that just aren't true. And these things are not going to become true because you want them to be true. And the Most High is not going to forgo his will and change his desires because you don't like them, because you don't want it to be what it is or what it will be. That's not going to happen. So we're going to address the comments made by the sister and the mindset. All right. We got to address the mindset because this is an attempt to save you from the fire through love and correction. All right. To save you from the fire through loving correction. All right. You have to humble yourself and you have to be transformed. All right. Don't fight against the truth. You can do nothing against the truth, only for the truth. All right. And the truth doesn't care who doesn't like it. It remains the truth no matter what. All right. And so let's go ahead and get into this thing now. Right. So I'm going to go into the scriptures, and I'll look at her comments. I'll probably do it after, right? I'm going to go through this, then I'm going to go back through her comments just to make sure that I've kind of touched on everything that I want to touch on. All right. So stick with it to the end. This is very critical that you sit and listen to this. And one thing that I do want to address in her comments is that, she says that it's often spoke about, how about wicked Israelite women, but what people rarely speak about is wicked men. And so this very clearly illustrates to me that she has selective hearing and understanding. She's doing what a lot of people do. They don't see or really notice what's happening outside of what's happening to them. All right. Now, in this truth, even the brothers that I speak against and the brothers in the camps and the brothers that I don't get along, I don't quite agree with them on everything. Right. What I do see and what I can acknowledge is the fact that 90% of the correction is aimed towards the brothers, aimed towards men. 95% of the condemnation is to wicked brothers, wicked men, wicked Israelites. We can speak about men and speak about the brothers, and it's fine. It's okay. The feminist Israelite women don't have an issue when we are correcting the brothers, when we are setting the brothers straight, when we are acknowledging the weaknesses and the wickedness among the brothers. But when we do that 5 to 10% of the time when we speak to them, then they magnify it and they blow it out, they embellish it and make it seem as if 100% or 95% of the correction is all about them, right? That it's all them that's getting, that's getting the brunt of the finger pointing. And that's not how it is, but that's their perception. Their perception isn't reality, but it's their reality because in their minds, they don't care about all the correction the brothers get. That's supposed to happen. Any correction of them is magnified and seen, and it seems that's a big problem because they're women. This is a woman's way. This is how women react, right? All right. In the same way that women hated Kevin Samuels, even though he was a lot harsher on the brothers than he was on the women. They still hated the fact that he was harsh to them at all. They hated that he corrected them at all. He hated that he told them about themselves at all, even though he did the same to the men. He did it to the men first. And that's what we do in this truth. We deal with the men first. We deal with the men more harshly. And then the small percentage of the time we deal with the women. And the women can't take it because women can't take correction in the same way men can. Men, see, we grow up being corrected and we're used to correction. All right. But women can't. You see, women are moving around in life like children, who go through life without ever getting in trouble, without ever being held accountable. And then one day when they become adults, all of a sudden someone tries to hold them accountable, and it's like the world is crashing down on them. The sky is falling. They act as if it's the worst thing that ever happened, as if they're being harmed some sort of way in an unfair manner. This is how they act, but it's not true. It's just their perception in their own minds. And because, brothers, we're told to dwell with women according to knowledge, we have to understand the women. And I understand that this is the mind of the woman. It is similar to the mind of a child. They hate correction. If you tell a child, no, you can't go play in the street, and they really want to play in the street, you seem mean for trying to stop them from doing the things that they really want to do. You telling them, no, you can't play in the street, it sounds egregious. You sound like you hate them. They don't see the love. Yes, I yelled at you to get the hell out of the street, but you don't understand that that was because I love you, because I don't want you to get hit and ran over by a car, right? I don't want you to become a vegetable, right? I don't want you to die, right? So, yes, I yelled at you because of the urgency that was needed in order to get your attention and in order to correct your actions that was going to lead to your hurt, to your harm. They can't see past the quote unquote the tone or the wording and see and hear the message and understand the love that's behind it and the necessity of it. All right. So one thing is the feminist, I don't need a man, the spirit of rebellion. Our sisters can't see the fact that the very women who have this spirit and this mindset, look what's happening to them in the world. The Most High is bringing destruction to women who are out here self-willed and hating correction, hating authority, hating male authority, hating patriarchy, hating masculinity. He's bringing ruin to women who who have this I can do battle all on my own. I don't need a man. That mentality is the destruction of Israelite women. But they can't see it, but it's happening to them. And so the Most High is bringing about, his his way, right? He's allowed them to develop this mindset that's harmful to them. And he allowed them to actually harm themselves with this mindset, allowing them to benefit from it in a certain way, in a small way for a certain time. But then now he's causing it to be a detriment unto them. You see? And so now this hyper independent mindset, and I don't like men, and I don't want men, and I don't need men. It is to their destruction. These women are now out here, they're exhausted. They're being worn out by life, right? They keep saying how much they don't want men and don't need men. And then when men, treat them according to the energy and the vibration they put out and the things that they say and how they carry themselves, then they can't understand. They say the men hate us. Well, you keep telling the men you don't want them and don't need them, and you wonder why they run away from you, you know, and don't want to be around you and stay with you. You keep telling you don't want them and don't need them, and then you wonder why they don't protect you. Well, you kept telling them you don't need them. You kept telling them you don't like them. Leave me alone. I don't want nothing to do with you. And then you get in trouble. And then it's like, well, where are the men at? Why aren't they helping? You're being destroyed by your own mind. You're destroying yourselves, ladies, and you got to see this. All right? So the comment was, I'd rather be dedicated to the Most High forever and live by myself, she says, rather than be involved with any man. This is in response to talking about the kingdom and what's to come and how the Most High is setting this thing up, right? And what's going to take place. Isaiah 4:1, the most hated verse in the whole Bible by the feminist Israelite woman, right? The understanding that, this is not just a scripture, that men teach and say because of our own lust. It is a prophetic truth. It is a biblical truth. It is the desire of the Most High to bring this about, to do this thing. This is what he's going to accomplish, right? This is what he's going to accomplish. And you can hate it, not like it all you want, but it's not going to change it. And the Most High is going to kill. Also, a lot of women are going to die in addition to a lot of men dying. And the women who don't get on his page are going to die also. He's going to save women, for a lot of women, for a certain purpose. And that purpose is going to be to be the possession, yes, the possession of his men, his beloved men, not the wicked. The wicked men are going to perish. They're going to die. And you see, and that was the thing with this sister. She's not able to differentiate between righteous Israelite men and the wicked. She doesn't make a difference between the two. She doesn't see there being any righteous Israelite men. So, she's treating the situation as if all Israelite men are unrighteous. There are no righteous Israelite men. We're all wicked. And so, she just want to be alone for all of eternity. She want to make it into the kingdom. She want to come into the 1,000-year reign of Yahawashi, but she want to just be alone for the whole duration, have nothing to do with any man, and so, but that goes to show the ignorance of certain people regarding, what's to come. And ignorance is not a derogatory word. It just means you lack wisdom on a certain topic. And she lacks the wisdom of what is going to be like in the kingdom. It's not going to be the way the world is set up right now, to where you have all of these amenities and all of these things that men created and established that makes it, easy for you to say that you don't need a man. The world to come, it's gonna be obvious that you need a man. You're not gonna be able to make it without one. So you need to learn how to start getting along with men. You got to change your mindset. All right. And so again, when we go to like Genesis chapter 2, I can already see now this is going to be a long one. So I might, cut this into two, or it might just be one long standalone. Go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. And you see it's under the creation of man and woman, right? Verse 18. And Yahawah power said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make an helpmeet for him, right? I will make an helpmeet for him, a helper, a helper, a servant. We are helpmeets for Yahawashi. We are servants. But because of feminism, women give terms like servant and serving and submission a negative connotation. And so they try to shy away from it. They want nothing to do with it. But it is what it is. That's the point of your creation. You were created to serve men, not to be served by men, but to serve men. Men weren't created to help you through life. You were created to help men through life. That's why women saying, "Oh, walk away from any relationship that doesn't serve you." That's a feminist ideology, a feminist mantra, a satanic mantra. You see, these thoughts and this doctrine and this mindset, it's satanic, and they don't get it. They don't get it. It's ruining them and will continue to ruin them, and they don't understand. All right. So if it was not good that the man should be alone, how much worse is it for women to be alone in the evil world than for a man? If it's hard for men to be alone, how much harder would it be on women who are alone? And we can see in the world, the results of women being alone, being left to their own devices. All right, how easily corrupted and destroyed women can be without a covering, without any protection, without any men around. There's a reason why Satan got Eve away from Adam in order to corrupt her. See, she needed to be pulled away from the man, caught by herself, isolated in order to bring her to ruin. Our enemies who rule this world, they created the system that is right now, and they programmed Israelite women to have this hyper independence and to want to be alone, because this was the enemy's way of isolating the Israelite woman to make her easy prey. Yes, your mindset is the programming by the enemy to make you easy prey so that he doesn't have to go through men in order to destroy you and your children. It's easier, right, to go up against a bunch of women than to go up against a bunch of men. It's easy. It's easier to go up against a woman than it is a man as a man. So that was the whole goal, right? Is to infiltrate, to cause division, and to separate the women in order to you want to destroy the people. So let's isolate the men and the let's separate the men and the women. Let's isolate the women. Let's give the women the power and the control over the children, so that once we destroy the women will destroy the children, and then we'll have a system that runs on autopilot. That was the work of the enemy. Right? So this was the creator speaking before sin entered the world, right? The order of man and woman was divine and intentional. The woman was created for the man. All right. So to go against that is to go against your the entire purpose of your existence as a daughter of Zion. All right. The same way I say that Israelites who are not serving the Most High, we we are not living according to our purpose. All right. And that the state of, and how I talk about how the state of the Israelite women reflects the state of the Israelite nation. You see, the rebellious nature, the desire to not be under our Father's order and instruction caused us to fall, right? Wanting to being indoctrinated by the ways of the enemy caused us to fall. Not want to return to him and return under order caused us to fall. Our women not wanting to return to order is going to keep them falling, is going to cause them to be destroyed. Those who don't get it together will be destroyed. You're not going to make it. It doesn't matter how much love you claim you have for the Father and for Yahawashi. None of that matters if you don't get in order. None of it matters without being in order, all right? So when we go to Isaiah 4, verse 1, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Ladies, what do you think the world is going to be like during this time that's going to cause this to be true? You know, prophecy has to be true. So in order for this to become true in the world as it stands right now, where women claim, well, we're strong and independent and don't need a man, what is going to happen in the world that's going to make women change their tune? Something is going to happen. The world is going to change in a way that's going to make women change their tune, right? They're all singing this, oh, I won't be with a man who's 50-50, and 50-50 man ain't a real man, and you got to pay all the bills, and you got to be the sole provider and do all the providing yourself and everything else. But all of a sudden, they're going to be saying, you know what? I'm bringing my own money to the table, but I desperately need to be up under your covering. I want to be your wife to take away my shame and my reproach. I'm in danger out here. I'm suffering out here. I'll bring my resources to the table and add to you. I won't just come in and expect you to give unto me and I take and provide nothing. No, I'm going to come and add to the situation. I'm going to bring resources to the table. Just please take me in. Let me be one of your wives. Let me be joined unto you. Something's going to happen. See, and sister, you're not thinking about this. This is not even crossing your mind. You're not factoring what the world is going to become. You lack foresight, which makes sense because foresight is a masculine thing. Women can have insight, but foresight is a masculine thing. And the lack of foresight, sisters, will destroy you. All right? is going to destroy you. And look at verse 4, it says, when the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, which says what? He's going to have to wash away the filth. And by me teaching this, isn't me hating Israelite women. It's me teaching the truth of the scriptures. All right. So this prophecy is about the future, our future. The righteous man will be in high demand. The righteous, sister, the unrighteous men, the wicked men, they're going to be killed. They're going to be killed. So you don't got to worry about being brought under those men. Those men are going to be a non-factor. All right. Stop throwing all of the men into one group. You don't like it when men do that. You sisters be all over every social media channel, under every video where men are talking about women, and you guys always say the same thing. Not all women, not all black women. Stop judging us all. Stop generalizing black women. But you guys do the same thing to us. You guys do the same thing to men, and you don't see an issue in all hypocrisy, though, right? Very much hypocrites, and you don't see it. You got to stop it. We understand that the hypocritical nature separates you from Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi. We have to stop it. All right? I have daughters. I'm not telling you anything that I don't tell my own beloved daughters. All right? This teaching, all of this is for them too. For them first, because I love them more than I love you. I don't want them to be destroyed, but I love you too, and I don't want you to be destroyed. So this lesson is for you all, and I pray that you guys can all benefit from it. All right. So this scripture isn't about lust or desire. It's about the Most High's way. All right. This is Yahweh's way of preserving life, order, and nation building. Right. You don't get to change the design. His men were greatly despised, greatly hated, and put on the bottom of all men, of all the people upon the earth, even beneath Israelite women, because Israelite women join hand in hand with the enemy and receive benefits from the enemy's rulership. So he loves his men. He's going to reward his men for well-doing, for righteousness, because this world is wicked. Yes, there are many Israelite men who are wicked. We know this. We talk about it all the time. Yes, those men will be destroyed. They're going to die. We talk about it all the time. All right. So you women got to stop being sensitive, and you have to develop the ability to hear the truth, to be corrected, or you guys are never going to outrun the allegations that you're like children, that you're like spoiled brats that can't be told nothing. You don't want to be seen that way? Well, then stop being that way. Be renewed, change. You have to transform to not be that thing. And you must separate yourself from other women, from other sisters who are that way. And if you are of the righteous sisters, then this should roll off of you like a bead of dew off a leaf in the morning. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. All right, let's go to 1 Corinthians 11. Verse 8, again, because women, they hate order for the most part. Not all, not 100% of you sisters, but many, most. It's not an embellishment to say most. Just like it's not an embellishment to say that most Israelite men are wicked. So, sister, I agree with you about there being a lot of wicked Israelite men, but where we disagree is that you think they're all Israelite men are wicked, and that the men who are going to be, blessed in Isaiah 4 and 1 are going to be the wicked men. You don't realize that the men are going to be changed. You're talking about the men who are going to have the spirit of the Most High on them and with them, who are going to be transformed. And you're talking about how you're going to stay away from these men because you're not looking at the future. You're not looking past what the men are and seeing what the men are going to be. You're not looking past the wicked to see the righteous. That'll be to your detriment. All right. If you refuse to get in order. All right. So it says Christian order, aka the order of the believers in Yahawashi, is how we're going to apply this. Not Christian as in the religion, but Christian as in follower of Yahawashi. All right. So verse 8, it says, "For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. Men and women are not created equal." See, she was trying to get away from it being modern feminism, but she couldn't get away from it because of what she was saying. Right? She's talking about co-heirs in the kingdom and how the men and the women is going to be no difference and they're going to be the same. And, and we're all just going to be the same. There's going to be no difference between anybody. And that's not true. This is why we're being taught all of these things that we're being taught. We're being shown the hierarchy of the kingdom. All right. Not all Israelite men are going to be created equal. You got 144,000 Israelite men who will stand out from the men of the remnant. They're going to get a different inheritance and different blessings. Yes, we're going to all be inheritors, but that doesn't mean we're going to be equal inheritors. Doesn't mean we're going to all have the same thing. We're not going to all receive the same thing or the same rewards in the kingdom. There are levels. There are differences between men, and there are differences between women, and there are differences between man and woman and man. This is just how it is and how it's going to be. So this kills feminism, right? This is divine structure. There is no such thing as a woman of Yahawah who rejects this order, period. You can't be a daughter of Zion, a righteous daughter of Zion, and reject this order, period. Bottom line. Trying to it proves that you're being destroyed by the feminist demon. That is a demon. You are plagued by a demon. You need to repent and you need to pray. You need to rebuke that spirit. All right. And so, there's this energy of Israelite men are to blame, Israelite men are the problem, and this misplaced blame. All right. And the same spirit that these women have in the world, the sisters demonstrated in the comment. It was a long comment. Right? Boy, it was a long comment. And she let it all fly. And I'm thankful for that because it allowed me to have, the inspiration and all of this that I got to address. I see what needs to be addressed. Again, it's in love, sis. And if you can't take this form of love, the kingdom isn't for you. You're not going to make it. There's no place in the kingdom for you if you can't take this. If you don't like this instruction, there's not going to be a spot reserved for you. You're not going to make it. Okay? I'm trying to save you from yourself. I'm trying to save you from yourselves. Ladies, you got to be able to tell when people love you. All right? All throughout social media, you see women loving the men that are preying on them and just pandering to them and just saying all of the things that they want to hear. Those men hate you. The men just telling you what you want to hear, they hate you. They're trying to make merchandise of you. They want you to be available to be preyed on for their benefit. So they're lying to you. They're trying to keep you in delusion. They're trying to keep you out of order. But the men trying to tell you the truth, that's the real love, no matter how the delivery is coming. That man loves you more than the other man does. But you rather be told sweet lies that kill you than to hear a harsh truth that saves you. Same problem with Christians. No matter what you tell them, they can't see and don't want to hear the truth in the scriptures. They don't want to hear about how there's a difference between the Israelites and the Gentiles, how the Israelites are going to get blessings that they aren't going to be privy to. In the same way, the feminist Israelite woman don't want to hear about how the man is going to get anything she doesn't receive. All right? And it's not fair, they say. The same way Christians say, it's not fair. It's not right. You're talking about Israelite superiority and supremacy and so forth. That's racist. Same way our Israelite women don't like to hear about Israelite man superiority over the Israelite woman. They think it's not fair. It's not right. It shouldn't be that way. That's not of the Father, right? The way Christians say, not my Jesus. My Jesus is all love and he loves me it was the same thing from this sister. Messiah loves me and XYZ, and yeah, he does. But do you love him? And if you don't love him enough to obey and to love his structure, then you don't really love him. If you don't want his way to be done, his will to be done, you don't really love him. You're just lying, and he can't be mocked and he can't be tricked. You can't fool him. With their mouths, they do honor me, but their hearts are far from me. Don't be that person, sis. All right. So, they are the ones responsible for the daughters of Zion's condition. They failed. This idea that the men failed, and so the conditions of of the daughters of Zion is to be laid at the feet of the men, and women should be able to escape accountability, not have any responsibility, not be corrected or told that they, fall short and need to be better or do anything better. Just stick to talking about the men. Stick to talking to the men. So as women don't have to have our feelings hurt because we're being addressed. Don't make us feel bad about nothing. Again, the same energy as the white supremacists who are trying to remove black history from being taught in the schools because it makes them feel bad. They don't want the truth to be spoken because of how it makes them feel. But it doesn't stop it from being the truth. The truth is still the truth, even if you don't like how it makes you feel. Again, our women have the same spirit as white supremacists. The same spirit, the same demonic, satanic hate, spirit, the same hatred for Israel, the same hatred for Israelite men. There was nothing in no one that the spirit of Satan, that wicked spirit hates more than the Israelite man. Nothing more. All right. So let's go to Ezekiel 18. Ezekiel 18, verse 20. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. What does that mean? That means you're responsible for your own circumstances. What happened to you is a result of your own living, your own choices in this life and in those prior, right? Those previous to this one. So we all bear our own guilt. No one gets to point fingers when judgment comes. Sisters aren't victims of men. They're accountable for their own rebellion because y'all rebelled. Y'all rebelled too, right? You are under the curses and of Eve, right? The same way as men, we are under the curses of Adam, right? So, like when we go to Isaiah chapter 3, verse 12, it says, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Okay? He just established women rule over my people. Now listen, O my people, they which lead thee or rule over thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. Women. Our homes, our communities, our people are destroyed because women are ruling, women are leading. So to try to lay it all at the feet of the men, it's it's feminist. All right. It doesn't acknowledge the scriptures, nor does it acknowledge the truth. All right. You can try to blame, what men aren't doing or what men aren't around, but the truth is that the influence of those who are around outweighs the influence of those who are not. All right. And so you can't, simultaneously want all of the credit and none of the blame. You can't do that. But that's what they want. All right. So the disorder in Israel is a judgment. It's not an excuse. So feminism flipped the household upside down, with the help of the enemy, right? Through the satanic order. And it was prophesied, right? But Yahawah is restoring order through the elect. He is restoring order. He is bringing about change. He's not going to keep doing things the way this wicked world is doing things. It's going to be flipped on its head. And a lot of you women are fighting the flipping. You're fighting against the change. You don't want the change to happen. You don't want the Most High to institute his way. But you say you love him. but you don't want his will to be done. Does that make you a hypocrite or no? Let's go to the Apocrypha. We're going to go to Ecclesiasticus 25. Ecclesiasticus 25, verse 24. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. And if you say this, the feminist Israelite woman is going to get upset. She's going to get in her feelings. She's going to fight against it. She's going to stop her ears. She's going to say that you hate women. She's going to say that you hate Israelite women. She's going to say that you're not a man of God because the way you make her feel, the way what you say, the truth, how it makes her feel. She doesn't care about the truth. She cares about how she feels. Well, the Messiah wouldn't make me feel like this. Who do you think is responsible for what the men are doing and saying? The spirit that's on these men, where do you think it comes from? The spirit that's on me to teach what I teach and speak how I speak, where do you think it comes from? This is our Father, our power correcting, all right? He's putting the spirit of correction in the earth, all right? And like a parent would speak to a disobedient and rebellious child is going to be different from how they speak to the non-rebellious child. All right. So some men have the spirit on them to speak in a harsh manner because that's the Father using those men to speak in that way to let certain people understand how he feels, how angry and how passionate he is, how strong he is against them, their mindset, their feelings, their behavior, their ways. And other people can receive a message, are receiving a message through the likes of me, with whose delivery is different, because the delivery is different for the good child who gets straight A's and they just go home and they do what they're supposed to do than it is for, who messes up every once in a while, than it is for the child who's messing up all the time, who's messing up big. You see, you handle them differently. And see, that child who's messing up big and who has to get yelled at and cursed out, they think it's unfair how the other child is handled versus them. They don't take into account that, man, I understand because, I'm always messing up. So-and-so doesn't mess up and do the things that I do. It makes sense for them to not get in trouble the same way, to not be spoke to as harshly as I'm spoken to. It makes sense. Right? But an adult, and a full-grown adult and a mature adult is supposed to understand the difference. Right? You're supposed to, as an adult, understand that, when you go to court, right, that the judge is supposed to handle the murderer differently than he handled, the petty thief. Right? That he handles the jaywalker differently than he handles, the mass murderer. But children don't understand. It's just not fair. Well, why didn't you speak to them? Like, because you killed 50 people. He crossed the street in the wrong section. But you want the same talking to. You want my tone to be the same. You want my delivery to be the same. It's not. The situations warrant a different me. For us, we get a different Yahawah and a different Yahawashi based off of who we are and what we need and what we're deserving of. You get it? So again, this is scripture, right? That's not man-made. Eve's decision had consequences for generations. Sisters need to own that and repent, not deflect blame and not try to find a way to get out of constructive criticism. All right? Get over tone, right? If I'm about to run over a cliff, I don't want somebody trying to whisper and speak softly to me. I need you to yell, man. Put some bass in your voice and tell me to stop running. Get my attention, make me stop so that I don't go over the cliff, so that I don't go to my destruction. But somebody who's closer to me I can speak to them softer. Or a person who is farther away from that edge, I can speak to them differently because the what's the word I'm looking for? It just left me. Wow. I'm still trying to grab it, and it keep getting farther and farther away from me the more I keep trying to grab it. All right. All right. So let's just continue because I'm trying to chase a thought and it's running from me. All right. The urgency. Wow. There we go. Somebody was yelling it out there. Thank you. Whoever it was yelling out. Yeah. The sense of urgency is different. All right. The sense of urgency is different. The same way it's different for a person who, you go to the doctor and you get diagnosed with cancer and they just caught it. You caught it early. It's different than it is for a person who was stage 4 and they catching it late in the game. How you handle that patient is different. They don't get the same treatment, right? Okay. All right. She made a comment says the Messiah wouldn't support these men, you know, misrepresenting Yahawashi. Now, any man that's misrepresenting Yahawashi, no, 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 no. He's not going to support them and he doesn't support them. Absolutely not. But again, she's conflating the wicked and the righteous. She's merging the two and making no difference between the two. That's the problem. That's feminism. That's that mindset that says all men are bad, all men are evil, all men do XYZ, all men hate you, all men are will oppress you, all men reap the benefits of patriarchy. And again, see the fight against patriarchy that feminism has. It's a fight against the Most High. It's the fight against his structure. The same way feminism hates patriarchy, the Israelite feminist hates the Most High's patriarchy. They hate masculinity. They hate his way. They hate his order. They hate his structure. They hate his discipline. And it's egregious to them. All right. So she says, Messiah doesn't punish me. No, I'm sorry. The Messiah doesn't push me away. She says, I want to run to Messiah. These men drive women away. Why do you think that's happening? All right. A lot of women are meant to be driven away. If you want to push somebody away from you, you'll be harsh with them, right? You'll be harsh with them. Now, in some cases, the reason is because the Most High wants you to get away from those men. But in other cases, the Most High wants you to get away from the message. He wants you to get away from hearing the message that might save you. So it's two different reasons. Just like how this message might make this sister leave. It might keep other women away. It might push other women away. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but because of they hate the truth. And so the truth is being presented for them to have the ability to accept it or reject it so that there is no excuse in the day of judgment. So they can't say, I didn't know. He's going to say, no, you did know. And see, that's why you should see this as a blessing, sis. You went on that rant that you went on and said everything that you said because the Most High is giving you ability to receive correction and to change so that you don't be destroyed. Now, if you don't take it and you dig in even further, now that's going to be to your own detriment. All right. So let's go to John 10. So again, it says, I'm not disagreeing with you on your point about the Messiah, Yahawashi, not supporting wicked men. But again, you're not recognizing the fact that he has his men who are righteous. And when I'm talking about Isaiah 4:1, when we're talking about the kingdom, when we're talking about the 1,000-year reign of Yahawashi, we're talking about the righteous men. We're talking about women being gathered under and to the righteous men, not the wicked. Right? We're talking about the men being transformed and changed and living under Yahawashi's authority and being all righteous. You saying you rather live and be alone than to be under a righteous man of Yahawah? Are you serious? You rather struggle. I don't think you understand what life is going to be like without a man. I know you don't understand because you wouldn't say that. And I know you don't understand really what's to come. Otherwise, you wouldn't say that. All right. So John chapter 10, verse 14. I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine. So those who belong to him will know him. You can't claim to know him, but fight against him. You fight against what he says. You twist what he says. You don't really know what he's saying, and you don't mean by what he says, right? And you also don't know his voice when you hear it. So if you know Yahawashi, you will recognize his servants. You won't be calling all men wicked and unrighteous. You will know that there's a difference, right? And I know that you know that there's a difference. That's why you're here and not over there with those other men, with other guys, because you know that there's a difference. So part of you know that there's a difference, and then the other part of you is wrestling with the feminist indoctrination. All right, you're being pulled in two different directions, and I'm trying to help you get yourself loose from Satan. All right, because there's a tug of war happening with you, sis. There's a tug of war happening with you. You're being pulled in different ways. What side you let win is going to determine your fate. All right, you're double-minded. Which shows, you're unstable at the moment. You're being pulled in different directions. And so I'm here to help. That's the point. All right. So again, if you know Yahawashi, you're going to recognize his servants. All right. And if you're offended by his men, you're likely offended by him. That's what he means by, not being offended in him. Because many will be offended in him. The Christians are offended by learning the truth of the Messiah, by learning the truth about him. When they find out it's different than what they believe, they become offended. And they try to change the truth to fit their feelings. And is no different with the Israelite feminists. All right, again, to your own destruction. Let's go to Luke 10, verse 16. Concerning his righteous man. He that heareth you heareth me, and he that despiseth you despiseth me, and he that despiseth me despiseth him that sent me. Right? So when you hate the righteous men of the Lord, you hate the Father and his Son. When you're saying you want nothing to do with his men, you're saying you want nothing to do with him. He's going to dwell in these men, and you're saying you don't want to have nothing to do with these men, when how you get close to him is to get close to these men. You come to the Father through the Son, and to the Son through his other sons. This is the order. This is how it happens. This is his hierarchy. So rejecting the men that he sends is the same thing as rejecting him. And many sisters claim to love Yahawashi, but they despise his order and his servants. Right? Let's get Hebrews chapter 12. Verse 6 says, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If he does this with his sons, why do you think that you should be able to get into the kingdom and receive blessings without being chastened, without being scourged? Right? It says, whom he loveth, he chasteneth. And the chastisement can be hard to hear, hard to take. It hurts your feelings. It's hard to hear. It sounds like hatred. It sounds like anger, but it's chastening. It's loving chastening, loving scourging. But you can't see the difference. You can't tell. You don't know the Most High's way. So you think that when you are being spoken to harshly, that it's a man not having the spirit of the Most High, and it's them pushing you away. And you know what I mean? And so that's not necessarily the truth. You see, the spirit of discernment will help you to know the difference, because there are those men out there who do hate women in general and hate Israelite women. And so they talk like that. But then there are men who talk just like them, but love you. You see, hear what I just said? So in words, there is no difference, but in motive, there is a difference. You see what I'm saying? The motive for them speaking in that way is different, but the words can be the same, right? You have to have the spirit of discernment to know the difference. If ye endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons. All right. But what about for you daughters? You have to endure chastening also. You can't fight against it in hope that he stops and just allows you to be, allow you to feel however you feel, allow you to believe whatever you believe, and don't try to correct you, to just let you into the kingdom without you changing. Let you just come into the kingdom without you being transformed, without you renewing your mind. Just let me in. Don't try to tell me what I'm doing wrong and tell me that I'm falling short. Just let me in. You see, that's what Christians believe of their Jesus, and it's incorrect. And no matter how much they believe it and want it to be true, they're still going to be destroyed because it's not true. And so they believe a lie. They believe something that doesn't profit them. All right? For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? You can't even be considered one of his children if you aren't chastised. But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then ye are bastards and not sons. So what about you daughters? If ye be without chastisement, then you're bastards. You're not his daughters. You're not his children. You're not his beloved if he doesn't chastise you. You see? Listen to verse 11. Now, no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous. That's why you hate it. That's why it doesn't feel good. Because at the present, it doesn't seem to be joyous. It doesn't make you feel tingly. It doesn't make you feel great. But it's grievous. It's not joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward, it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. You have to be transformed by the chastening. You have to endure it. You see? So love doesn't always feel good. If your idea of love is never being corrected, that's not the love of the Most High. It's not the love of Hamashiach Yahawashi. That's the love of the world. You see, that same love that makes you hate a man like Kevin Samuels, who was trying to teach you women some things, you Israelite women some things that would help you get better results in life. He was trying to help you reconcile the truth, to understand men, to understand your circumstances better so that you can get better results. But you didn't like what he was saying. So you hated him and wished death on him because y'all didn't like what he was saying, or you didn't like how he was saying what he was saying, but he loved you. He cared. He cared. But see, the Most High knows y'all don't like this kind of righteous correction and that you're going to hate the men that love you. So he allows you to have these men out here who don't love you, but they speak like they do. But they're really trying to destroy you. They're lying to you. They're wolves in sheep's clothing, right? They're trying to lure you into a trap, lure you into a snare, but you like the way they're talking. Oh, you like that honey that they set out in front of you, but you're being lured into your death. Oh, you like the taste of honey more than you like carrots. I'm putting a carrot out in front of you. The man who hates you is putting honey out in front of you. And because he's using honey, you think he likes you better. You're going to follow him and fall right into the trap. Oh, I don't like carrots. Why couldn't you offer me some honey? Why you got to try to use a carrot to get my attention? I like honey. I'm going that way. Then you get destroyed, right? And then turn around and blame men. Why didn't y'all help me? Why didn't you help us? We're trying, ladies. We keep trying to save you from the fire and you won't accept the help. You're like a drowning person who won't accept the help. I'm trying to throw you a life preserver and you don't want it. So you're gonna drown. All right. So her next point was she said we're co-heirs, not maids, talking about the women. So she's confusing order with oppression, the same way women do now. Look at any of these podcasts and or any of these comment sections of these videos, and you see how women, Israelite women, are talking about femininity, they despise femininity. You see how they speak about submission, they despise submission. They view it as slavery and oppression. And to them, not my Lord, not my Jeebus, what Christians do, not my Yahawashi, a lot of feminist Israelite women are saying. All right. We're co-heirs. You are right. We are co-heirs. But co-heir doesn't mean equal heirs. You see, words have meanings, and you are conflating the two, sis. Co-heirs, not equal heirs. Okay. First Peter chapter 3. First Peter. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm just making sure I got my volume down on my phone. Just thought occurred to me to check that. I couldn't remember if I did or not. I did. All right. All right, so First Peter chapter 3, verse 7. It says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. All right, according to knowledge, meaning we have to understand women. We got to know who they are in order to dwell with them. If you don't know them, it's going to be hard to handle them. It's going to be hard to deal with them because you're going to be expecting one thing and you're never going to be able to get what you're expecting out of them because you're expecting the wrong thing. In the same way, women in this current society, they have no real knowledge of men, who men are, and how men are designed and how men operate. So they don't dwell with us according to knowledge. So because they don't know us, so they have unreasonable expectations of what a man should do or what a man should be, how a man should speak, how a man should love, because they don't understand men. All right. It's like going to an ice cream machine, but you want to get some juice out of it. And it's not a juice machine, it's an ice cream machine. But because you don't understand the nature of an ice cream machine, you think there's something wrong with the ice cream machine for not producing juice. And you're angry and you're frustrated by not being able to get juice out of the ice cream machine. And then somebody comes along and says, hey, no, sis, let me show you something. No, see, this is an ice cream machine. This, let me teach you about ice cream. All right, this doesn't produce juice. It may look similar to an ice cream machine, but it's or a juice machine, but it's not a juice machine. All right. But you want to fight against it and says, no, but the other machine gives me ice cream or gives me juice. And you're like, yeah, they might look the same. They might have the same manufacturer, but their functions are different. They were created for different purposes, so they don't produce the same thing. And no matter how much you want that ice cream machine to produce juice, it won't. So you're unhappy because you want the ice cream machine to change instead of you changing your own mind. That's how women are living. They want men to change, to become what they want men to be, instead of accepting men for who and what men are and deal with men accordingly. There's a lot of men who are frustrated out here because they don't know who and what women are. All right. Dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. We are not the same, sis. You were created weaker. You are a weaker vessel. You have different instructions, right? The Most High doesn't put women in his army. He doesn't give women rulership. He doesn't make women kings. He's not going to put crowns on the heads of women. Different, different. You got to reconcile the truth with your own desires. All right. See, you understand the difference when you guys want to hit men and not be hit back. Well, I'm just a woman. I'm just a girl. A man should never hit a woman no matter what. They never say a woman should never hit a man no matter what. A woman should never put her hands on a man no matter what. There's no justification for a woman ever putting her hands on a man. They never say that. But they'll say the opposite, that no matter what a woman does, a man should never put his hands on her because they can only see through the eyes of a woman. I don't want to be hit, but I have a tendency to, in my emotions, to put my hands on men. So I think the men should have the onus on them to exercise restraint because I can't and I won't. I'm going to put my hands on men. And when I do, I want them to live up to a certain code for men that says don't hit the women back. But I'm not going to live up to some sort of code of women that says don't hit men back because that code doesn't exist. You see? Men and women are different now and will be in the kingdom. Co-heirs, yes. Equal heirs, no. Men and women going to be handled and dealt with the same in exact same way? No. That is not how it's going to be. That is an error of a feminist mindset. Again, she said this is not modern feminism, but what else do you call it? Right? Co-heirs in salvation doesn't mean co-leaders in authority. Yahawah still set the man over the woman, and grace doesn't cancel structure. When you try to make men and women equal, look what happens. Look at the results of this world. We know that even trying to do that is a satanic mantra. It's satanic. It's a satanic way of thinking. All right? The idea of men and women being equal, that's satanic. All right? Trying to lift up a woman on par with a man, that's satanic. Lifting up a woman to be higher than a man, that's satanic. And everything that is contrary to the design of the Most High, it will come to ruin. That's why our communities came to ruin with the women, right, being lifted up above the men. That's why you see in our community why we are on the bottom, because we are the only community of people who are ruled by their women, showing you that that way is the wrong way. It doesn't profit. It is a horrible way. And it's not the Most High's way. So he's going to fix it. He's going to turn things right side up. And if you don't want him to do that, you're fighting against him. You don't want his will to be done. You want your will to be done. Even Yahawashi, when he was in the garden, he was praying and asking if he could get out of going to the cross. He still came back and said, but thy will be done, Father, not my own. To paraphrase, right? So you have to reconcile the Father's will with your own desires, with your own feelings. He was scared. He was terrified. He was going to have to die. And he didn't want to, but he still had to acknowledge that he wants the Father's will to be done and not his own. You may not like what's coming. You may not want, but you may not like what's coming, but hey, it's the Father's will, and you should want his way to be done rather than stay in this wicked world and have it continue as it is. All right. So let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. I haven't even been keeping track of how long this has been. I've just been going. And so I may just leave it all as it is intact, or I might split it up into two. So when we come into the next part two of the video and I don't start the video the way you're used to hearing me start the video, that's why. It's just because I just decided to split the video in half and just, and put it up there unedited in that fashion. All right. All right. So 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is a Mashiach, and the head of every woman is the man, and the head of a Mashiach is the father. Why do you think this was being stressed? Because it is the hierarchy in the kingdom. See, Paul and the apostles were preparing Israel for the kingdom. All right. And so they had to help push a kingdom mindset, because you can't come into the kingdom with the worldly mindset. Okay, so this is a kingdom mindset that you have to get with or get destroyed. All right, it's not the same for men and women. All right, so simple, clear, right? Unchangeable. You don't get to co-lead when Yahawah already assigned headship. All right, that's not how it works. Okay, when we go to Revelation 14, verse 4 says, these are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High and to the Lamb. These are men, 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. These men all right, are not, you're not going to be on par with these men. You're not going to be a co-heir with them in equal fashion, but a co-heir, yes. All right. The men of the remnant are not going to be an equal heir with the 144,000, but co-heirs, yes. Okay. So the 144,000, the leaders are men. And Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawashi is raising up his sons to rule with him. And sisters must get in order under these men. Not the men get in order under you, right? Not you having equal say as to the men. That's not how it works. That's not the way and the will of the Father. And this truth being spoken is not my hatred of Israelite women. It's the truth, right? It's not me trying to push something from my own desires or my own lust. It's the truth. If you know me, you know that that's one thing that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to speak my own mind. I have to give an account. And I'm not going to try to speak my own mind in order to gain anything in this world. Not going to do it. All right. And so the sister brought up Matthew chapter 19, verse 9. And she says that, you know, men are out here using this verse in order to try to teach sisters that they need to stay in abusive relationships. But you see how I said before that something can be happening to the men and the women will disregard it and only see what's happening to them. This verse is not, specific to women. This is about men, about divorce. All right. This is about divorce. Men divorcing women and women divorcing men. All right, I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her, which is put away, doth commit adultery. So she thinks that what she says that men are using this as a way to, get women to stay in abusive relationships. But listen to this though. Women are the biggest abusers in relationships. I know that's going to be shocking for you to hear it, but it's the truth. The women are the ones who have a relationship with white supremacy, with Satan. The women are the one who have the ability to call the Romans, call the police on the men, and to get to use the police, the law enforcement as a weapon against the men. The men can't use the law enforcement as a weapon against a woman. Women can use the family court system as a weapon against the men. Israelite men can't use the family court system as a weapon against Israelite women. All right. In this society, there's a saying that says, happy wife, happy life. What do you think happens in circumstances where there is that kind of that kind of mantra and belief that only women's happiness is important? What kind of people do you think have that kind of mindset, right? It's the same mindset as white supremacists. It doesn't matter what I do to you. You need to live to please me. I don't exist to please you. That's the same mindset that women have. You exist for my benefit, not me for you, right? You exist to make me happy, not me for you. You need to make me happy, otherwise your life is going to be miserable. That's the reason why they have it, is because they understand the power that women have in order to ruin men and to destroy men and to make their lives insufferable. The women. And so what do you think they do with that? They become oppressors in their houses. They become abusive, mentally, verbally, emotionally, and physically abusive. A lot of men get beat, yelled at, cursed out, disrespected, and done wrong by the women, but you don't hear about it because men don't complain about it as much as women do. Women take to the internet and to the movies, and all the movies, show it, but they don't ever show the other side because men are more likely to be quiet about their abuse than women, because men don't get treated like victims, right? For men, it's okay, well, what did you do? Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. She shot him, but what did he do though? There's no justification to ever hit a woman, but a woman can kill a man, and the response is, well, what did he do? He must have done something. But a man can't get that, right? A man kills his wife and nobody says, well, what did she do? She must have done something. Because no matter what she did, she didn't deserve to die, though, right? And whatever, a woman does to a man, he had to deserve it. When you have a society and a system set up that way, what do you think happens? It encourages people to do wrong. Like the same way the police are encouraged to do wrong by having qualified immunity, meaning they don't get in trouble, right? For what they do. It incentivizes them to be abusive, to brutalize the public, right? What the same thing happens with women under this system. They are incentivized to abuse men, to use men, to harm men, to be abusive, to be oppressive. And so let's not make it seem as if men are just wicked and bad and women are all sugar and spice and everything nice. That's not the truth. All right? That's not the truth. Okay. And so again, that your mindset, sis, is modern feminism. No matter what you say, you can't get away from it being what it is. Okay. And you recognize what it is. And since you recognize what it is, you are accountable for doing something about it. All right. Not to try to run away from it by giving a caveat or by trying to say, well, I know what it sounds like, and I don't want it to sound like what it sounds like. It sounds like what it sounds like because it is what it is. Okay, right? So we know fornication equals unlawful sexual behavior, right? It's not a loophole for every disagreement. All right, Yahawashi was restoring the sanctity of marriage and not empowering feminism or empowering abuse. He was not doing either. Okay, Romans chapter 7. Verse 2. For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. Men are not bound by a law to their wives. But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband. So marriage, it is a lifetime covenant, right? And spiritual maturity means endurance. And no one said it would be easy, but Yahawah honors perseverance. All right, Yahawah honors perseverance. And there are differences made between men and women. The men are constantly told different things, right? Men, love your wives as yourselves. Women, obey your husbands. Men are never told to obey their wives, right? The same way that Yahweh Shai doesn't have to obey us. He loves us, but we have to obey him. You see, there's a difference in the relationship dynamic. Same exists between men and women. There is a difference between us that our Father established. And if you don't like it, you don't like him. You don't love him, you don't love his way. All right? Let's go to Malachi chapter 2, verse 14. Yet ye say, wherefore? Because Yahawah have been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. So we know men do this, right? They did it then, they do it now, but women did it then and they do it now. And feminism doesn't allow you to acknowledge the two-way street. It makes it seem as if it's all men doing wrong unto women and women just being great creatures who never do anything wrong and never deserve anything that happens. You don't even deserve harsh correction because you're a woman. You shouldn't be corrected in the same way a man is corrected. But you want to be co-heirs though. You want to be equal, but you don't want to get equal correction to a man though. You want to be corrected differently. You want to be handled differently, but you want to be equal. You want to receive the same rewards as a man, but not have to go through what a man goes through. You see, it's hypocrisy. It says, yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the spirit. And wherefore one? That he might ask, that he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. For Yahawah, the power of Israel, saith that he hateth putting away. For one covereth violence with his garment, saith Yahawah of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit that ye deal not treacherously. All right. And so this rebukes wicked men. All right. For sure. It doesn't justify rebellion in women, but it does rebuke wicked men. But again, his rebuke of wicked men doesn't justify a woman's rebellion. It doesn't allow you to be out of order because there can be wicked men out there. He doesn't ever say, women, because men are being wicked, you can be out of order. He never says that. But that's what you're doing. That's the mindset you're taking on. That's a feminist mindset. It's a spirit of error that is in you that's going to destroy you. All right. So sisters twisting this to make it about equality are missing the warning, right? Don't deal treacherously, but also don't abandon the order. All right. And so the sentiment of, I just want to be alone. I just want to be alone, right? That's rejecting the kingdom structure. All right. That's you not having an eye towards the kingdom, towards what's to come. You're thinking in the here and now. You can't think or see or feel beyond the present. You don't see what's coming. You don't understand. You don't realize that you're going to feel differently later than you feel now. You're going to think differently later than you think now. You're going to be different later than you are now. You only see and understand now. And that's the problem with a lot of women. They only see the now. All right. Again, lack of foresight. All right. Let's go to Isaiah 13, verse 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold. This is not a man as in mankind. This is as in the male, right? I will make a man more precious than fine gold, right? He doesn't say, I'm going to make Israel more precious than fine gold. I'm going to make a man more precious than fine gold. And we know he's talking about the righteous Israelite man because there is a difference between his righteous man and the wicked. Even the man that the golden wedge of Ophir. All right. And you think that in this time, you're not going to want one of these men who are more precious than fine gold? Why are they so precious? What's going on in the world at the time that's going to make these men so precious? And if he says he's going to make these men more precious than fine gold, you think that you're going to not want one of these men in that time? You think that you're going to be better off without one of these men in that time? Then that would make the Most High a liar. These men wouldn't be more precious than fine gold if they would be undesirable, if women would not want them. You see, more precious than fine gold. Meaning, yes, you will want these men. If you are able to make it, you will want these men. You will want to be with one of them. Yes, you will. You see what I'm saying? So you got to get past your current feelings. And you got to have a kingdom mindset. You got to have the ability to look ahead, to see ahead. All right. Get rid of your tunnel vision and get rid of your short sightedness. All right. Your ability to only see, 12 inches in front of your face. All right. That's the problem with many people. They lack the vision and the insight and foresight and ability to see what lies ahead in the road. All right. Because this is coming. All right, sisters who say, I don't want a man will be left outside when they finally realize the value of a righteous man. All right, you're not going to make it. You're going to die. If you have such a spirit of rebellion in you that you try to hold on to that feeling that you have, despite the correction, despite the chastening, despite the Most High bringing about his way, you're not going to make it. Not only are you not going to make it into the kingdom, you're not going to make it out of the wilderness. All right. You are not going to make it out of the wilderness. The rebels are going to be purged out. Right. Speaking of which, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 38. And I will purge out from among you the rebels. This is talking about when we're in the wilderness. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am Yahawah. Because when he comes, all of Israel, everywhere that we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, we will all be brought into the wilderness together, including the Israelite feminists are going to be there. He's going to be instituting his way, and the Israelite feminist is going to be saying, oh, hell no. No, Can I just live by myself? I don't want nothing to do with what you're talking about. He's going to purge you out. You don't understand what you're saying. You're speaking death upon you and your children, your household, sis. You're calling death upon you by being in disagreement with our Father and our Messiah, our Mashiach, right? So wanting to live by yourself in the kingdom is rebellion because he didn't create you, Israelite woman, to be a standalone in the kingdom. He didn't create you to just be a solo traveler through the kingdom. All right? That is not your function. That is not what the women who are saved, that is not what they're going to be saved for. You see? So you're not going to get what you want, even if you make it. And if you don't want what he wants, you're not going to make it. All right? So again, that's not how the kingdom works. You will be purged if you don't submit to his will. That is the bottom line. All right? You were created to be with man. You were created to be a woman, a servant to man. You were created to be with the man. You were not created to stand alone, to be by yourself. That's the reason why in this society, the group of women who have proudly proclaimed to be alone, to not have men, to not need men, that's why these are the most worst off women out of all the women on the earth. That is not by mistake. That is by design. That is the Most High's design. Women are being punished and destroyed by their desire to be alone. And a lot of them don't realize it until they become older. And then they start to hate life. And then they really hate men because now they're older and undesirable. And they have these ways about them that they can't change because you can't teach an old dog new tricks all of a sudden. Right. And so now the men don't want them and they want the men to change and to accept them, the way they are. But the men are like, no, 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 no. No, not going to happen. You're going to have to get in order to receive from us what you want. But the women are saying, nah, just accept us how we are. And that's kind of what you're saying, sis. You don't want to change. You don't want to adapt to what the Most High wants. You just want to be accepted as you are. And you think that the Most High will just accept you and should just accept you as you are without you being renewed in your mind, without you transforming. You want to remain the caterpillar and make it into the congregation of the butterflies. Not going to happen. You're either going to change or you're going to get left behind. The butterflies are going to fly away. You're not going to be able to go where the butterflies can go. You're not going to be able to live like the butterflies can live because you resisted change. You refused to change. You refused to go into that spiritual cocoon, right? Let's get Isaiah 60. All right, Isaiah chapter 60, verse 22. It says, a little one shall become 1,000, all right? And a small one, a strong nation. I, Yahawah, will hasten it in his time. Because the little one and the small one, these are men of different stature. And he's having to say this because there is a difference between the men. Co-inheritors, yes. Equal inheritors, no. He's saying even the little one among his men will become 1,000, right? And he will become a strong nation. How can that happen without women? Not just one woman, many, right? This is going to be the women's role and function. This is what's going to be happening. And if you don't want to do this, you're not going to make it. He knows your heart. You can't fool him. He knows whether or not, you will be one of those women who rebel and just really don't want to do it. You don't want to be with an Israelite man. You don't want to have his babies, right? You don't want to help a little one become 1,000 and a small one become a nation. The Most High says he's going to do this, and yet he has women who say, no, 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 but I don't want to take part. What do you think he's going to do with those women if his desire is for this to happen, but your desire is to not have it happen, to not be a part of it? Why should he bring you into the kingdom if you don't want to be a part of it, if you don't want to fulfill the role of the woman in the kingdom? What's the purpose of bringing you there? Why should he allow you to come into the kingdom and you don't want to to do what's necessary to be there? All right, you don't want what he wants done to be done, right? So who's going to be birthing these children if every woman wants to be alone, right? The restoration of Israel requires righteous seed and sisters willing to raise them, right? It's going to be righteous men with righteous women raising righteous seed. That's what's going to happen. Not wicked men with righteous women, not wicked men with wicked women, righteous men with righteous women. And you can't call yourself a righteous woman if you deny the Most High's way and his will, and if you don't want it to be done. That's the bottom line. All right. So let's go to Genesis chapter 1. All right. When we talk about the purpose of in our roles, what we're created for, right? Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. And this applies to the end. This is not what, all right? It says, and the Most High blessed them. All right. And the Most High said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. You see, this is prophecy. A lot of people think that that's what happened when in creation. No, he calls the end from the beginning, right? This in Genesis is a prophecy of the end because he calls the end from the beginning, right? This is him doing it, calling the end from the beginning. What's going to happen in the end? He's telling us in the beginning, all right? When he's going to bless us and tell us to be fruitful and multiply, which goes right along what we saw. And a little one, right, shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation, right? Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. All right. That's the directive the righteous men and women are going to be given. And any woman who says, I don't want to do that. Now, that's okay. I'm going to just go over here. I'm going to be alone. I'd rather be by myself over here, Lord. You're going to die. There's not going to be some special place for you where he's going to allow the feminist Israelites to go. Okay? So that was never revoked, right? It's not optional in the kingdom. The whole point of our restoration is to rebuild and repopulate in righteousness. Okay? To rebuild and repopulate in righteousness, not in wickedness. So get out of your head thinking about wicked men right now, and they're not going to be a factor later. And if you don't change your mind, you're not going to be a factor either, because you don't realize it, sis, but you are an unrighteous Israelite woman. Right now, as it stands at this moment, despite what you may think, feel, and know, I can tell you assuredly, at this moment, with that mindset, you are an unrighteous Israelite woman, lest ye repent. You are being given an opportunity to hear the truth and to change. This is the Most High showing you his mercy and his love by causing you to hear these words. He made you say what you said to me so that I can make this lesson for you and for other sisters just like you. Now, you will either heed the warning and transform, or you won't. You'll hate me for delivering it and you will go away. In either case, I've done my job, and whichever is the result, I'm happy with it because that's the result that my father wanted. All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7, verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. All right? You're going to try to get in, sis. You're going to think, when he comes, okay, I just love my Messiah. I know I hate his men and I want nothing to do with them, but I love you, Lord. All right? But not everyone who saith unto him, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom. is going to be a harsh reality and wake up call for a lot of people, men and women, who are going to find out they're not going to make it. They're not going to be allowed in. All right. But he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Who's going to get in? He that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. We have heard the Father's will. If you say that I just want to go into my own corner and have nothing to do with any man and just live alone for eternity, that means you don't have a desire for the will of the Father to be done, which means you won't do the will. If you don't like the will, if you don't agree with it, if you hate it, you won't do the will of the Father, right? Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. A lot of brothers and sisters and Gentiles are not going to make it. And there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth in that time. So saying you love the Messiah, Hamashiach Yahawashi, means nothing if your heart is still hardened and rebellious. If you're carrying the feminist demon, because again, it is a demon, sis. It is a sure sign that you are suffering from demonic possession. You are wrestling with demons. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, right? And you are having it exposed to you that you are still wrestling with these demons. And you can see which demons you're wrestling with. The I hate all men demon, the I hate Israelite men demon, the I want to be by myself demon, right? The feminist demon, right? You're wrestling and you're losing. You are losing that fight, and you will lose it along with your life if you don't repent. All right. So again, saying you love Yahawashi doesn't mean a single thing when you're rebellious and hard-hearted. You must do the will of his Father. Bottom line, no other way around it, right? Let's go to Ezekiel 14. Verse 20. Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, saith the Lord Yahawah, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter. They shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. And my reason for this bringing out is to emphasize the fact that your righteousness must be personal. Sisters won't be saved by their feelings or opinions, only by obedience. You won't be saved by who you follow. Just following me isn't going to save you. You're going to have to be renewed by these teachings, by this word, by this spirit. You're going to have to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. All right, let's go to Luke 19. Luke 19, verse 27. But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither and slay them before me. This is going to happen when Yahawashi returns, right? We're going to have the wicked, rebellious Israelites who are going to be purged out. And then you're going to have those who he calls his enemies, who do not want him to reign over them. What does that look like? Well, it looks like you're not wanting the Father's will to be done. You're not wanting to follow the hierarchy and the patriarchy of the kingdom that he's establishing when he's here, because you're a feminist, because you're a weak beta mangina, right? Weak men, rebellious women, rebellious men, weak women. You're not going to make it. You're going to meet your doom and destruction when Yahawashi returns. That's why the scriptures say, woe to them who desire the day of the Lord. For what end is it for you? Because a lot of people are desiring for his day to come, but they don't realize that his day, that his coming means their destruction, that they are going to die in his day. They're going to die under his rule. They don't understand it. And it is this spirit that is going to cause many sisters to be among those who are going to be slayed before him. They're going to die. They're not going to make it. All right. Those who reject the rulership and the order of Yahawashi, whether man or woman, will be destroyed, man or woman. All right. Wicked men who are rebellious aren't going to allow to be able to just get in, because I don't want you to say, well, you only spend your time talking about the women. What about the wicked men? You see, this lesson is about the wicked women. All right. I do a lot of talking about the wicked men. I do most of my talking to the men. All right. So Titus chapter 2, verse 3. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to love their husbands, to love their children. Women have to be taught to love their husbands, to love their men, to love their children. It's not just a natural thing. All right. Not loving your husbands, not loving the men of your nation, the righteous men. All right. It's one thing to not love the wicked men. So what? Most High doesn't love them either. But to still despise the wicked men just because they're men, or just because they got a different, blessing or inheritance than you, that's wickedness. Right? To be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of the Most High be not blasphemed. All right, so this is the model, right? This is the standard. Anything else is blasphemy against the order of Yahawah. All right, and let's go to Matthew chapter 12, verse 50. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother. You are not doing the will of the Father which is in heaven if you are not shaking the modern feminist mindset. If you have any issue with coming under the rulership of the men, if you have any issue with not being equal in the kingdom, all right, it is not the Father's will for you to be equal unto his men. All right, that's not his will. That's not the plan. And so Yahawashi doesn't even consider you his sister if you don't do the will of the Father. If you have any problem or issue with the will of the Father, Yahawashi does not even consider you his sister. And right now, at this moment, sister, I probably shouldn't be calling you sister, because Yahawashi doesn't call you sister right now at this moment, though you think that he does, right? Or maybe he does. And he foresees the day when you're going to be corrected, when you're going to change. You're not going to remain in the mindset that you're in. You're going to change one day. So he's already been treating you as his sister, because he knows that the day is going to come when you're going to come out of this mindset. The same as when I was a Yahawashi denier. He was still loving me and treating me as his brother, knowing that I was denying him, because he knew the day was going to come when I would be corrected, when I would be renewed in my mind, when I would be transformed, right? He knew that day was coming. And so, you know, he probably has been dealing with you as his sister, knowing that the time and day will come when you will change. And I believe if that time and day is going to come for you, sis, this is it. Today is the day. The time has come. If not now, when? If ever. All right. You got to be cautious moving through this truth. All right. Because if you move the wrong way, or you believe the wrong thing, you're going to suffer as the Christians do. You're going to be trying to usurp Israel. You're going to be trying to go to our Father and to Yahawashi by going around Israel. The Gentiles can't go around Israel to get to our power. You can't go around Israel to get to the Messiah. I mean, you can't go around the men to get to Yahawashi and to the Father. It doesn't work that way. All right. And in the same way, the Father isn't hearing the prayers of the Gentiles who hate his people. He's not hearing the prayers of the women who hate his men. All right. If you hate Yahawashi, you're not going to make it. He ain't listening to your prayers. If you hate his righteous men, you ain't going to make it. He's not hearing your prayers. All right. Ezekiel 34, verse 31. And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, not mankind. You are men, as in males, and I am your power, saith the Lord Yahawah. All right. There's a difference between men and women, the flock of his pasture. He's talking about the elect, the 144,000 are men, all men, and will receive a special inheritance in the kingdom, a different inheritance in the kingdom than everyone else. That's just the truth of it. All right. When we go to Revelation 1, verse 5, oops, I put Revelation 12. Revelation 1. Why does this keep trying to take me to Revelation 12? Come on. There we go. Revelation 1, verse 5. It reads, and from Yahawashi Hamashiach, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood, and hath made us kings and priests unto the Most High, his Father. And to him be glory and dominion forever and ever. A father has never made women kings or priests. It didn't exist in the history of, of Israel. All right, that is not something that our Father does. It is not his way. There was never any women in the priesthood, never any women among the kings of Israel. All right. And you had the one queen, but she was the queen of the Medo-Persian Empire, right? Because she married a king. She wasn't just and she was the queen over, with him under his empire, not in the Israelite empire. You see, women are called princesses, never queens in Israel. All right, you can be a princess in Israel, but not a queen, and definitely not a king. All right, it is not the Father's way. All right, so you can see here that he's not talking to or about the women when it says he made us kings and priests. And this is not even talking about all of the men. All right, it's talking about select men. Co-inheritors, yes. Equal inheritors, no. Sis, you misunderstand the word co-inheritors and the idea of being co-inheritors. You're twisting it. You're trying to make it be what you want it to be in order to make you feel good. And the Most High doesn't care about you feeling good. He cares about the truth, unless the truth makes you feel good. All right? Revelation 19 and 16. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The Most High is not going to make women kings, and he's not going to make women lords. All right? Sarah called Abraham her Lord. Abraham didn't call Sarah his Lord. A difference, right? A difference. Both loved of the Most High, but different. Different demands and different expectations. Different. We're going to all make it to the kingdom, man and woman alike, but it's going to be different in the kingdom for men and women. Not the same. And you got to reconcile this fact. All right? Oops. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 2. All right, we're almost out of here, you guys. I know this thing has been long. I can't even remember when I started and how long we've been going, but I know it's been long. All right, so 2nd Ezra, chapter 2, verse 42. Verse 1. And I, Ezra, saw upon Mount Zion a great people, whom I could not number. And they all praised the Lord with songs. All right. A great people. That's Israel. And in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest. All right. And upon every one of their heads he set crowns and was more exalted, which I marvel at greatly. All right. This is the crowning ceremony of the elect, the 144,000. This is what this is talking about. All right. A great people. This is the elect, the 144,000, his army, his governmental body, his governmental body. All right. The bride of Yahawashi are men, are great people. All right. He's setting crowns on their heads. All right. Those crowns are meant for the men because they're going to rule with him. The women are not going to rule. They're going to reap the benefits of the men ruling, but they're not going to be the rulers. All right. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing. If you're still carrying around feminism, you have not put off the mortal clothing. You have not been renewed in your mind, and you have not been transformed. All right. They have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal. See, we're going to take off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal. So you think in that day you're not going to want to have anything to do with the righteous, immortal, precious than gold, more precious than gold Israelite man? You have to be careful what you say. All right. It's a reason why the same women who kept saying we don't need men are the most lonely women, are the women that the men abandon and don't want and keep shunning and running away from. You're calling things upon yourself. You're calling loneliness upon yourself, and you're running what could be away from you by calling upon yourself singleness and loneliness. Careful what you're calling upon yourself. All right, and have confessed the name of the Most High Yahawah by Hashem Yahawashi. Now are they crowned and receive palms. All right, and so it says, then the angel said unto him, and then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of the Most High Yahawah, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. And this is me standing stiffly. This is me willing to offend women in order to stand for the truth of the Most High. This is me being willing to lose followers and subscribers in order to stand for the truth. I know the habit of Israelite women to hate the men that speak the truth. So I'm running the risk of being hated. And I don't care because I'd rather stand stiffly for the truth. I want to be one of these men who get the crown. And I can't get the crown by pandering to women, by lying to you and telling you what you want to hear. I'm not going to get the crown that way. I want my crown. To hell with your feelings. If you love me, you should want me to have my crown too. The same way I want you to make it into the kingdom, and I don't want you to be destroyed by your current mindset. I love you, and I want you to be healed by this truth, not to be destroyed by the lies that you believe in, by your misunderstandings. All right? It's the reason why, the women are supposed to learn from their husbands and learn from men and not the other way around. And we're told to lean not on our own understandings. But sis, you are greatly, guilty of leaning upon your own understanding in a lot of areas. And I hope that you can receive this truth and convert and be healed. All right. Let's go to Matthew 25. Matthew 25, verse 21. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. The moment you saw him say, I'm going to make thee a ruler over many things, you should have known instantly that he's not speaking to women. He's speaking to his men. who he is going to make a ruler over many things for being faithful over a few things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. And part of the joy of the Lord is Isaiah 4:1, right? It's a man becoming a ruler over much, and women and children, and becoming a great nation and so forth, right? Is it if is it your joy? Do you joy in the joy of the Lord? Do you want the Lord's desires to be true? You want a father's desires, and will to be true, or do you want your own? It says, enter thou into the joy of thy Lord, not enter into thy own joy. The wording is made that way for a reason. Enter into the joy of thy Lord. All right. So when we go to Luke 19, and we're going to hear something similar, just a little different. Luke 19, verse 17, it says, and he said unto them, well, thou good servant, because thou hast been faithful in a very little, have thou authority over 10 cities. That's rulership, all right, that the men are going to receive. And the women will be blessed by being with one of these men and not by being alone. Women are never going to be given this kind of rulership or authority. All right. So, what are the women going to be good for and needful for in the kingdom if it's not for rulership and authority? And if, the Israelite feminists get to enter and have nothing to do with men and just to be alone? And how do you think you're going to be okay in that time without one? There's not going to be no welfare, sis. Welfare ain't going to exist. Right? You ain't gonna have the systems that are currently in this world that help women and enable them to have this I don't need a man mindset. That strong and independent mindset is only because of the way this world is currently set up. But this world is going to fall. The world to come will not be set up like this one. You're not going to be able to have the freedom to do the things you do now that allow you to be single and independent. Without a man in the world to come, it's going to be a struggle, and it's going to be hell on earth. Is that what you want? You want hell on earth, or you want to enter into the joy of thy Lord? All right. Now, lastly, I want to address John chapter 8, because sis, you don't understand this scripture, this section. All right. Now, you spoke about how, this adulterous woman, how she was saved from these wicked men, and how what this was about the Messiah making a statement how he's gonna save uh, women from wicked men. You think that's what this is all about? Really quick, let me go and look at the comment real quick. It says, let me find it. Where is it? All right, she says, the scribes and Pharisees were sexist, which is why they brought the woman to Messiah to have her stoned, but didn't bring the man that was also committing adultery. Messiah wasn't having it. Right. He wasn't having it because they were in error by not bringing the man and the woman. Right. The man was in error because he was having sex with another man's wife. Right. Not because he was a man just having sex with another woman. No, he was having sex with another man's wife that made him in error. Right. But this woman, right, she was brought alone. And it wasn't right for her to be brought alone and for the man to not be brought also. And so you see a problem with what the scribes and Pharisees are doing, but yet you are kind of the same kind of hypocrite. You want the men to be chastised and to be corrected, but you don't want the women to be chastised and corrected. You want the wicked men to be called out, but you don't want wicked women to be called out. You want wicked men to be blasted, but you don't want wicked women to be blasted. That's an hypocrite. That's hypocrisy, sis. Right? She says, and the Messiah wasn't having it. She says, Messiah was protecting, and she put protecting in all caps, right? Messiah was protecting righteous women. Wrong. The woman was an adulteress. She was not righteous, but she still saw this adulterous woman as righteous. How did she do this in her head, sis? How did you do this? How did you manage to make this adulterous woman righteous? How did you do it? What justification are you using to come up with this understanding? This is not what he was doing. You missed the boat. What's happening here is the fact that this woman is symbolic of the nation of Israel, right? And the nation of Israel, we have accusers who keep trying to accuse us under the law, again, which is why the law was removed, because it was causing us to be killed. It was strengthening the hands of the prosecutor, who is Satan, to be able to use the law against us to have us destroyed, right? And so the other nations who are helping to destroy us were never being brought to task. It's us constantly being accused, right? And so in this instance, again, the woman represents Israel, who's not going to be thrown away because we committed spiritual adultery. All right. This is symbolic of his mercy for Israel. This is not talking about him, saving and protecting righteous women. This had nothing to do with a righteous woman. We are not a righteous woman. As a nation, we are not a righteous people. But yet he's protecting us from condemnation. That's what this is about. This was something to teach you a spiritual lesson. All right? Not a carnal one. You missed the spiritual lesson inside of the story. All right? You make the same mistake that many carnal Israelites make when reading the scriptures. You miss the spiritual aspect of the lesson. All right? So again, our righteousness is as filthy rags, as the scriptures say. We are not being saved because we are righteous. We are not being protected because we are righteous. We are not receiving mercy because we are righteous, but because of his love and his mercy. That's what that was about. The woman, she represented Israel, the nation, who is now receiving mercy and not being condemned. And what did he tell her? Sin no more. Which means she was what? She was sinning. She was in the wrong. He was not protecting a righteous woman. He gave an unrighteous woman an opportunity to be better. Us, Israel, who is unrighteous, we are being given an opportunity to be better. You completely mishandled that scripture, and you showed why a teacher is necessary for people in general, but for women especially. All right, for your sakes, I hope you abide still and keep listening and learning and being fed over here. But if it is your desire to leave and to run somewhere where they're going to pander and lie to you, hey, so be it. I've done my job and I've done the will of my Father. All right. So, to all the sisters hearing this message, I'm not your enemy. If you have a problem with anything that I said, your issue is with the scriptures. In the same way that the Gentiles who hear the truth of the scriptures and salvation, their issue really isn't with us. Their issue was with the scriptures. Their issue was with the Most High. That's what they really have a problem with. It is not us. They don't agree with the Father. They don't like what he said. They don't like what his will is. And your problem may be the same. All right. And that will be to your detriment. Right. I'm your brother. Right. I'm pleading with you to examine yourself. Right. Don't let your trauma, right, your mind, your bitterness keep you from receiving the truth and the blessings that come with receiving the truth. All right. If you don't see the value in the men of Yahawah, then you don't see the value in Yahawah. You don't see the value in Yahawashi, and you don't see the value in his will, his design. And that's going to cost you your life. All right. So repent, be renewed, and let go of feminism. Embrace your role in Yahweh's divine plan, or be left behind. That's the only choice you have. It'll never be your way. You want it to be one way, but it's the other way. Somebody else knows that reference, right? And it's coming down to the wire. You got to get this right, or perish for getting it wrong. All right. And your desire to be left alone will become your own personal hell. When you're in that lake of fire for eternity, by yourself, being alone, and having your own words being used against you on replay, you just keep hearing yourself say, I want to be alone. I want to be alone. I want to be alone. And you're going to be in that personal hell that you created for yourself and you spoke upon, and you called upon yourself. You're going to know there's going to be no one to blame but yourself. And there's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. All praise, honor, and glory belongs to our Heavenly Father in the name of His beloved Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi. I pray that you guys were all blessed and benefited from this in the way that it was intended and designed, to enrich you and edify you. And if not, if this was a vexation unto you and you hated to hear this word, there's a reason for that too. Again, Most High's will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's my desire. All right. I'd rather for you to run away from me telling the truth than for you to stay with me lying. All right. I'll see you guys all on the next one, Yahawah willing. Y'all know the mantra, each one, reach one. Shalom.